Goats Theatre Company.
The Goats Theatre Company.
Welcome to the Goats Theatre Company's recording session. My name is Carolyn, and I am the artistic director of the Goats Theatre Company. The Goats Theatre Company produces a podcast called Play the Goats Podcast Edition, featuring new short plays and poems by up-and-coming writers. Today we recorded Retha's First March by Rex McGregor, with actors Aisha Weise-Forbes, Melanie Beckley and Benjamin Cawley, who are here with me in the studio. At the Goats Theatre Company recording sessions, it is customary, post-recording, to have a chat with the cast after a late lunch. Today, soup and crusty bread. Welcome, Aisha, Melanie and Ben. Aisha, how did you approach the role of Retha?
I think what's quite interesting is I feel that Retha has quite a lot of similarities with me. She's quite naive. She does want to just do her best that she can and help people, essentially. That's what it comes down to. But what's obviously our difference is she's based in the US. I think just given the general climate of the States right now, a deeper understanding of what that situation is and what that might look like and how that might affect someone's opinion on police services. Having a deeper understanding on what that could mean allowed me to really understand Retha's viewpoint. So I guess becoming more clued up on US politics and understanding why Retha could feel as though a character like Janice is someone who is her opposition really enabled me to have a better viewpoint on Retha and understand in a bit more detail where she was coming from.
Melanie, how did you approach the role of Janice?
The first thing I noticed was police officer and female, and she's also black. So that was quite a lot to go into a character, and also good structure as well, because we obviously know what's going on in the States as well with the police force, and there's the Black Lives Matter. That was a big thing, and you've got to remember that there are some good police officers out there, just as there are bad police officers out there. And I think this woman is caring, but I think with the reputation that police officers are getting at the moment, she's obviously fed up of it. And she came across for me as a little bit of a job's worth. So she's just fed up of it, of everything. And, Retha coming along, it just adds to that tension of being fed up, as well as the reputation that the police are getting. And for some strange reason, I had this idea that she was Southern and also quite big. So, I tried to put that gravitas into my voice as hard as I could. So, yeah.
What about you, Ben? How did you approach the role of Caleb?
I basically spoke to some doctor friends of mine and also some older members of my family who were activists in their day, and just made a composite based on all the information that they told me about their experiences within the medical system and feelings of being marginalised over the years. And once I just culminated enough information, I amalgamated them into what this impression of Caleb is.
Aisha, why did you want to become an actor?
I suppose a part of it is going back to that cliche that you hear a lot of actors say. I think from a young age, I've always loved to be in front of people and performing and putting on a show. But the more I grow up and I'm really entering into my adulthood, the more I understand just the world in general is made up of such intricate social connections and social relationships. And really, it's unfortunate, but I think the way society is, we are kind of conditioned to mute our feelings a lot of the time because it's what's considered to be more acceptable and more polite. And the older that I've become, I've seen acting as an outlet, a chance for me to really express myself and to examine some of those social relationships that I see played out in day-to-day life. So yeah, I'm just quite an observant person, and I really enjoy the opportunity to mimic what I see.
And you, Melanie, when and why did you want to become an actor?
Well, if I'm honest, I was at uni and I was studying radio studies, and I couldn't stand the lady who was the radio studies teacher, you know. And then I just thought, you know what, I've had enough of her. I can't see her passing me in this course. So I thought, let me do performance instead. And I did Mike Leigh's Abigail's Party, where I played Sue. And that was a hard part to play, but I'm glad that I played it because she doesn't say anything, you know, whilst the other characters are all talking, she doesn't say much. And that was hard. So, but I enjoyed it. And that was my light bulb moment to say, yes, this is definitely what I want to do for the rest of my life. So it was, but when I look back on it, the same way with Aisha, you look back on certain things when you were a child, and you enjoyed certain films, you loved storytelling, you enjoyed English, you know, as a subject at school. You know, all these things were, I think, contributing factors to what led me to eventually do what I do, you know. So yeah, it's just that lovely thing of being able to tell stories, and from so many different perspectives, there's so many stories to tell. So that's where I got my love from, was at uni.
Ben, why are you an actor?
It was way, way more fun than being an engineer. And that's the God's honest truth.
So, I'm going to put to you a question that I don't usually ask because of the subject of the play, and because I've been discussing the topic with some of my Black American actor friends, and I am keen to find out your view from the point of view of Black actors here in the UK. What are the challenges you experience as a Black actor working in the UK, which white actors based in the UK would not experience?
I think me and Melanie actually on our way here we was discussing it briefly. I personally I enjoy challenge, and like I mentioned earlier, life is full of so many beautiful expressions of our relationships, and it's a great opportunity and a privilege to be able to play all of those different versions of, I guess, humanity. I think as a Black actress, you can, or there is maybe a risk of sometimes being pigeonholed, playing a lot of negative stereotypes of what they think you are. Sometimes it's the baby mum or the drug dealer. And when that is the only kind of standard that they are holding you to, you don't really get the opportunity to express who you actually are and to give people an insight on the diversity of what it is to be a Black person, because it's not all, but I'm sure I'm speaking to, you know, the choir, but we're not all baby mums and drug dealers. So having the opportunity to play other characters can sometimes not, they don't always come along as often as those roles, which are unfortunate.
If I'm brutally honest, I feel that this country doesn't appreciate Black talent as they do in the States, particularly English actors. I remember seeing Daniel Kaluuya in Sucker Punch 10 years ago. And it was, to this day forward, he was only 19 years old at the time, and he was at the Royal Court, and he was the lead role. And there was a point where he just did one monologue, and the whole, you know, auditorium just went completely quiet. Nobody said anything. And at the end of it, me and my friend looked at each other and we were just like, what the hell was that? It was so good. And it wasn't until 8, 9 years later that people are now starting to wake up to his talent. And, you know, it's not even him, but you just see a plethora of Black actors just going over to the States and the same thing is being repeated. They're not appreciated in this country. They're not being given the roles, not that they should be given them, but they're not given the roles fairly. And when I hear, you know, white privileged actors like Lawrence Fox say, oh yes, it's not, we're being prejudiced against. I'm like, well, try being a black female for a day. You know what I mean? And going to an audition, because like Aisha said, you see a lot of the same. I mean, I'm lucky now because I'm now at an age where they're starting to see me as more than a prostitute, or somebody's got a drug problem, or somebody who's a single mother with a child. I'm now starting to see doctor roles, lawyer roles, which I'm really, really grateful for. But, there's just so many stories to tell, And I think that I really do hope, I mean, we're having a conversation now about, I mean, in general, the industry is having a conversation now about diversity in front of the camera. And I think that needs to happen behind the camera as well. So I think it's really important that they actually do something about it rather than not say anything, if that makes sense. So, put those words into motion, put those actions into motion. Let's see diversity. Let's see more stories being told. So, yeah.
But also, going back to that point about what Melanie said about having more black people in front of the camera and behind, there definitely does seem to be a BAME push in the arts right now. And I think I feel quite conflicted about that, because there's definitely been a few jobs that I might have had a second call for. And in the back of my mind, I think to myself, am I in the room because I'm black, or am I in the room because I did a good job? So it's sort of a double-ended sword, really. I definitely agree there needs to be far more representation. But with that representation and with how popular black actors and black and ethnic actors in front of the camera has been, a part of the argument now for me is, am I getting this off of merit, or just on the chance that I happen to be dark-skinned? Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it can be tricky.
Yeah, I don't like the word BAME either. I find that a bit more stay in your lane, Charmaine, sort of, it just seems like a really lazy acronym to just put I mean, you can't describe somebody who's black or an Asian. Yes, we're minorities, but we've had different experiences, so and even if somebody's Latino or somebody who is Southeast Asian, we've all had different experiences. We've all got different stories to tell. So for me, BAME just seems like a very, very, very lazy acronym. Yeah. I don't like it at all. I really don't. I don't respond to it at all. So yeah, that's just my experience.
What's your view on the topic, Ben?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I agree, I guess, a lot with what both of these guys are saying. Yeah, I mean, I in my personal experience, I've been quite fortunate, but nevertheless, you do, a lot of my friends, and just seeing how the game is kind of unequally distributed, and
do you think it is easier for a black man than a black woman to work as an actor in the UK?
I think so, definitely. I think there's more black men who are household names than there are women. I mean, women, there's not that many in this country who are black Brits who are big household names, whilst we've got at least 4 or 5 I can name off the bat. John Boyega, Idris Elba, David Oyelowo, David Harewood. So, they're whilst with females, I think there's only a few. There's only a handful. Letitia Wright and Sophia Okonedo. That's it,
And that probably goes to speak for the intersection, where race and sex collide. Because as much as white men are getting a lot more accolades at in certain award ceremonies than white women, I think that is probably reflected in the sort of black male versus black female dichotomy as well.
Do you think this is because there are more parts for men in general than there are parts for women?
I think there's definitely... I'd say there's definitely equal parts, but I think you'll find them being taken by other people, if that makes sense. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. So, yeah.
So, going from frustration to proudest moment, I usually ask actors to recall their proudest acting moment. So, Aisha, what is your proudest moment as an actress?
This is quite a difficult question, actually. I've been rummaging through my brain and thinking about it. I actually think one of my most proudest acting moments was last year at Brighton Fringe. I am doing a play at the moment called Sister. We are about to be in Vault soon. And the play essentially explores the NHS. We set it in the future, so essentially we're kind of what the NHS becomes in 2013, and it looks pretty bleak. But we also assess our 4 mothers and just our journey into how we have become, because essentially the NHS's backbone has been women, and in its earlier years a lot of Black Caribbean women came and played a big part in the NHS. I personally play a Windrush nurse, and just looking back at my own family's history, learning a bit more about the Windrush and just how it all unfolded, it's a really emotional story for me, actually, considering my family are from Jamaica and Cuba. So being able to play that out on stage and having the audience respond the way they did, I have to say that's one of my proudest moments, because it's something that relates directly to me, and I hope it seemed as though the audience really enjoyed it too.
And you, Melanie?
Definitely playing Henry Bolingbroke in Richard II. That was the first Shakespeare production I did out, since drama school, which is a long time ago, and I thought I'd completely forgotten about it. I went in there just to play the Queen, and I thought that was going to be nice and easy, but they were like, no, we want you to play Henry Bolingbroke. And it kind of taught me a lesson that I should push myself a little bit harder, because I was so scared about doing Shakespeare after such a long time that when I did do it, that was definitely a proud moment for me. And I would say even just getting into a room just to see a casting director, that's a proud moment as well, because you're on their radar, and you're getting exposed, you're seeing them. So that's a big thing, to even just be seen. I've heard people say they can't even get into a room. So that's something to be proud of. Even though, you might not get the job, at least they're seeing you and you're out there and they know you're there. So,
Ben, recall for us your proudest moment.
I can't pick one, but one that springs to mind is I worked with I done a play with an actor who was one of the best actors of his generation at the time, and we done a play together, and he got nominated for a Best Actor award, and about a month and a half afterwards, during another production that I was doing, I got nominated for the same award, and that was pretty cool. The Independent called me a rising star. That was alright. Yeah, maybe that. Standing 2 feet from Al Pacino, that was pretty cool. Yeah, I got lots of fun memories. I can't really pick one.
To wrap our time together, tell us what's next for you. Aisha?
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it briefly earlier, but the Vaults Festival, actually, the physical theatre piece, Sister, very excited for that. Yeah, that's what's on the horizon at the minute.
Melanie?
Just auditioning. That's it, just auditioning at the moment.
What about you, Ben? What's next for the rising star?
I'm working on a short film at the moment called High Rollers with some young filmmakers from Portugal, which should be pretty cool. We start filming this week, so that'd be quite nice. It's a character that I ain't played for a while, anyway. So that's what I'm doing. Short and sweet, hopefully.
Well, guys, it was wonderful chatting with you three. Thank you for coming to record Retha's first march here at the Goats Theatre Company's recording booth.
My
Okay.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for
Thank you for
having us.
having me. Thank you for the soup and the bread.
The Goats Theatre Company.
The Goats Theatre Company.